Morning. Just making sure you can hear me. I just want to start by saying I'm so honoured to be here. I've been in this room so many times because my children are part of the school community, and my son graduated just last year. Lots of fond memories in this room, but also people. I've known Steve now for quite some time, and he would often encourage me. I always remember he'd be pulling the bins in as I'm parking the car and rushed with the 3 kids when they were younger, and he'd ask how I am, and he'd ask if I'd been speaking, and he didn't know I was speaking today, and here I am speaking, and I feel very honoured to be here, and I'm just honour Christine as well, and I'm so thankful as a church, if I can say this, you've chosen Christine to stay here in leadership. I just love her heart, and I'm so excited that she's in this new season and as a church. And I feel like family, I'll say. This series that you guys have been doing about Heart for the House, a place to be family, I've walked in and seen so many familiar faces already and feel very welcomed. And I'm here today to talk about loving our community and seeing the wider community, which I've already heard through your worship and through your prayers is on your heart, as part of our family. And as I say, I feel like family. I had to go to the loo before I came in. And if you get to know me, Daryl's face is looking a bit concerned. I talk quite openly about all things. I finished the toilet roll in the cubicle I was, and I was like, well, I'm family, and I want my family at home to replace the toilet roll. And even though I was rushing, I'm like, I'm going to change the toilet roll and do the right thing because I'm part of the family here. And that's what we do. We look after one another and we care for one another as family. So as I said, I've been asked to share about loving our community in this series. And for me, that community is my family, the city of Rockingham. And the phrase that's added to your series, a place to be family. I feel like I'm here to be a voice to many who don't have family, literally don't have family, or haven't ever experienced the love of family, or even the love of God. Your family today may be bigger than you realised. Your family you may think a little bit different about that word family. And I don't want that to be an overwhelm for people, but I just want to extend the wider community to be part of your thoughts and your prayers and your heart. I grew up in the Salvation Army. My parents were officers, as we call it, and we moved around a lot, and so did Daryl's. And so for me, special occasions and birthdays was just my immediate family, which was lovely and wonderful, but I never had those experiences of Christmas and birthday with an extended family. My family are all over Australia, aunties and uncles, Queensland, Northern Territory, Esperance, South Australia. We're all very dispersed, and so I've never experienced that kind of gatherings and rally bashes that people have in these special occasions. And for me, I love people. I'm a real people person. I get energy from people. So it excites me to think of Rockingham Baptist as part of my family, and the other churches of Rockingham are part of my family. This is my family. So this is my immediate family. And I always take every opportunity to talk about them wherever I can. So my husband Daryl's here with us today, and my eldest son Lewis there has the ginger hair, and my daughter Lily, and our son Max, who had his 14th birthday yesterday. And so this is the family that I get to live with and do life with, and I love them. I love them, and I talk about them, and I'm proud of them, and I share all I can with them. And we also have another family member in the next slide. This is our dog, George. Now, I never grew up with dogs, and this is my first ownership of a dog, and it's been new. I love George, but I still would say I'm not a dog lover. I'm still a bit on edge with other dogs. But this little man gives us great opportunity to connect. Even as we were driving here this morning, our neighbours were out with their dog. Our dog scratches at the window to be out with the people as they walk past. So I'm constantly out the front meeting people. He is a connector of people, and people who have dogs. They all know George. George is the little white dog in the window. The little girl says, "Oh, the dog in the window, that's your dog." While this is my immediate family, I've shared with you also, I have my church family, which is Salvo's, but I do see the wider church, which I affectionately call the Church of Rockingham, is the wider community and family of my heart. I believe all people originate from God, and He is the Father of all people. And I read in Ephesians chapter 3, verses 14 to 15. "For this reason I kneel before the Father, from whom every family in heaven and on earth derives its name." God is the Father of all people, and maybe some people just don't know who their Father is yet. God has placed all of us here. I'm not sure where you physically live, but this may be your church home. Have called us here into Rockingham. My family and I are in our 13th year of living here in Rockingham. For those who don't know, in the Salvation Army, that's a very long time frame to be placed to lead the Salvation Army, and we're really, really thankful in the opportunity we have. But our family is roughly 140,000 people. I don't know if you knew, it's getting close to 140,000 people who live here in Rockingham. Now, have lived here for this long, but I've only in the last 2 summers become a beach person. It is usually my daily place where I start or finish the day. Always try and have a swim, but I just love the beaches. Like, I honestly think they're just amazing. But when I say I love Rockingham, while I love the beaches and I love the surroundings, I'm talking about the people. I love the people of Rockingham. And this is my heart of where I'm sharing today, loving our community. And I know that you would know, if you know Jesus, if you've read about him in the Bible, that he loves people too. He has such compassion for people. And he didn't spend all his time in the temple or in what they call the church. He was there sometimes, but he also was amongst the people. And he had a heart for people. And his words were often to go and tell, go and share. And I think for me, growing up in a church environment for a long time, somewhere that kind of got shifted and the focus was come and listen. That's not a bad thing to do. Still invite people, come and listen. But it shouldn't be the only way that we express our love for God through ministry and through opportunity. We've really got to go back to that. Go and share. Go and share. And I just feel like God has such a heart for people, and he has such a compassion, particularly for those who are doing it tough. We read often throughout the Bible this theme of compassion towards those who are poor, those who are sick, those with the broken hearts. And I want to read from, this one's not on the slide, but from Luke 10, the parable of the Good Samaritan just captures it all in one story. It's one of my favourites. So let me read from Luke 10. On one occasion, an expert in the law stood up to Jesus and said, "Teacher," he asked, "what must I do to inherit eternal life?" "What is written in the law?" he replied. "How do you read it?" He answered, "Love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your strength, and with all your mind, and love your neighbour as yourself." "You have answered correctly," Jesus replied. "Do this, and you will live." But he wanted to justify himself, so he asked Jesus, "Who is my neighbour?" In reply, Jesus said, "A man was going down from Jerusalem to Jericho when he was attacked by robbers. They stripped him of his clothes, beat him, and went away, leaving him half dead. A priest happened to be going down the same road, and when he saw the man," this is very sad, "he passed on the other side. So too a Levite, when he came to the place and saw him, he passed on the other side. But a Samaritan, as he travelled, came where the man was, and when he saw him, he took pity on him. He went to him and bandaged his wounds, pouring oil and wine. Then he put the man on his own donkey, brought him to an inn and took care of him. And the next day he took out 2 denarii and gave them to the innkeeper. Looking after him, he said, and when I return, I will reimburse you for any extra expense you may have. Which of these 3 do you think was a neighbour to the man who fell into the hands of robbers? The expert in the law replied, the one who had mercy on him. Jesus told him, go and do likewise. And I know not all of us may see someone physically on our ways throughout our day, but we know that there is a lot of people hurting and in need in Rockingham. And I just want to share a little bit of some of the statistics that are the reality of our community. Bring it into the present day. So there's a slide here you can read along as I share. We are the 5th largest local government area. This one says a population of 142,000, roughly 140,000. We're the 4th fastest growing, to grow to 239,000 by 2046 is what they're expecting, a growth rate of 68%. We're the 5th most in need. Now this is from 2016 and this may have changed. The percentage of welfare payment recipients is greater than the state average. We were ranked 4th in rental stress. 44% of renters are in this category according in 2021. But we recently, just in January, were ranked 2nd in housing stress in a recent, more updated one, with Mandurah being 1st. So this region of Mandurah, Rockingham, are under a lot of pressure and strain. According to the City of Rockingham submission to Parliament in 2022, we had 97 on the by names list, and I can share a bit more about that later if you're interested, but there is a coordination of community organisations that are supporting specifically people who are sleeping rough or experiencing homelessness, and that list is growing. And so it's saying about in September there was 130 people in the City of Rockingham who would be categorised as experiencing homelessness. Local domestic and family refugees are at capacity. There's an increasing number of women with children sleeping in their vehicles. And we at the Salvos have seen this firsthand. In the last few months of last year, there was a period of time where we were just seeing new families constantly in their car, principals ringing through their chaplains to come and say, what can we do? We've got families who are turning up and they're living in their cars. It's just so overwhelming to see it firsthand. In excess of 1,000 people access emergency relief support. There was 1,382 child protection concerns, the highest number of concerns of all districts in WA over the period of 2020-2021 for Rockingham. And sadly, we are the 2nd highest suicide rate of Perth's 30 local government areas. There's some real challenge for people. There's some real heartfelt concerns. And while these are numbers, we know that these are people. These are people's lives. And in my work in the Salvation Army, we see often very first-hand. And I could tell you many, many stories of people's lives who are impacted by so many stressful factors: domestic violence, financial crisis, loneliness, homelessness. There's so much that can go on, and not maybe just one, multiple of these things happening in someone's life, and it can become so overwhelming. I can tell you many stories of people who we've met firsthand who it's just unbelievable to know what they are facing daily. We've had a lady that we knew as part of our Salvo community who we didn't see for a bit, and so in concern we went and visited her in her home, and we found that she had had a stroke. And she'd been left for 5 days with family living with her. And we had called the ambulance. And even if people have family, they're not always showing great love. And sadly, she was doing quite well in rehabilitating, but then a few months later was diagnosed with cancer and passed away. But this was an example for us of someone who we saw as part of our family, but we didn't know all that went on for her. And even though she had family, she wasn't treated with love. And this is just one family, this is just one person's life. This is happening. People aren't experiencing love, aren't getting the care and support that they need. And as I said, just seeing children living in cars and how families and parents do their very best and show great resilience to do all they can to keep their children healthy and happy and attending school, but it's I can't imagine. Parenting is a tough job when you have great support and you have your home, but to do that from a car is just unbelievable. I think often in church world, we often measure our success in different ways, and sometimes it's how many people have turned up on Sunday, how many people have connected in with their Bible studies, how many people or what financial givings we're receiving, and these are all good measurements, but I don't think it's the only thing we should be measuring as churches. We really need to look at the wider stats like what I've shared this morning to say the health of our community isn't great, and we need to be able to show love and kindness to more people beyond our church gatherings. We need to show great love. And so I know Christine's going to share more about this, but there's a launch of the Care Hub pamphlet flyer that she's sharing from today, and we feature in that. And I'm obviously from the Salvo, so I can share a little bit particularly about what we do, but there's many options and great opportunities to share love and kindness, which you'll hear more about. But I think when I think about what can we do as people of God, I think a big thing is to remember the unity, to remember that we're not in silos, we're not the Rockingham Baptist Church all alone here, and we're not the Rockingham Salvation Army separate over here. We are God's people. When I read the scriptures with the body of Christ, that's you and me, we're all together in that, and often we can think of that as our church and the gifts within our church, but it is bigger than that. There are gifts that someone may have very similar to you down the road at another church, and the way that you could maybe meet one another and work together to love our community. There's limitless and endless possibilities. Jesus loved unity, and the Spirit of God is unity. We read in John 17 his prayer, "Holy Father, I am about to leave this world to return and be with you, but my disciples will remain here. So I ask that by the power of your name, protect each one that you have given me and watch over them, so that they will be united as one, even as we are one." And I'm not sure how you think, if this is a new way of thinking or you think this way, but I feel like the churches of Rockingham are all part of one family, and we are a big part of the body of Christ. I have a heart for unity. Christine shared that I co-lead the ministers' gathering along with Nick, I won't say his name, Nick Van Utschorn. I'll try and say his name. Sorry, Nick, if you hear this. He co-leads with me. We've done that for the last 4 or so years. And it's a real heart of mine to unify the church and know that the leadership and the chaplains and people leading meet once a month, and we get to know each other, and we learn to love each other and know more about one another. I'm also on the Youth Care Council, and I love what chaplains do within our schools. They're being that light with God in the school communities, and seeing firsthand some of the concerns and needs of our community. I've started along with other women for an organisation we've called City Women, and Kathy's here today, and I've got some friends from Salvos, and Karen, who's been part of this church, was with me, and it's just this idea that we can be women across the city, women together who love and care for the people in our community. I just think of unity as such a strength and a real strategy for us to love our community well. I think it's written clearly in our Bible about taking action with our faith. We read in James chapter 3, I think. I for some reason left the chapter 2. Thank you, husband. James chapter 2, verses 14 to 17. It says, "What good is it, my brothers and sisters, if someone claims to have faith but has no deeds? Can such faith save them? Suppose a brother or a sister is without clothes and daily food. If one of you says to them, 'Go in peace, keep warm and well fed,' but does nothing about their physical needs, what good is it? In the same way, faith by itself, if it is not accompanied by action, is dead." It needs to be in partnership. And I often hear people say, the Salvos are doing well and looking after people experiencing homelessness. They're there looking after people in financial hardship. And we are, and God has blessed us with amazing people and resources that's provided a great community centre that we hope will be open more and more. We have one of your family members here, Nicole, on our staff, and she is amazing. She brings healthy food and options and leads our kitchen so well in being able to support people in this great opportunity of feeding them and providing food. We've started smoothies on Fridays, which is a real hit, and people love to have that. But we can't do it alone. For us, we say people need people, And so while we have this great community centre and we have some wonderful volunteers and staff, people really need people. And so in my head, I'm thinking, how can we as the church be together with people who are in need? And so for me, I think of strategies that connect people with people. And that's where I extend an invitation to you all to do that. The Salvation Army have a vision statement, and it says, wherever there's hardship or injustice, Salvos will live, love and fight alongside others to transform Australia one life at a time with the love of Jesus. And what I love a lot about this, but one of my favourite parts of this is one life at a time. If all of us just really think about what an impact we can have on one life, and then we multiply that by so many people across the churches impacting one life at a time, it's exciting. And I also love the line, do for one what you wish you could do for many. We often see so much need and it feels overwhelming and you don't know where to start, but just do for one what you wish you could do for many. So I encourage you, I think organically you would have people you know in your lives who are in need, who are maybe going through illness or sickness or job loss or financial crisis, people who are going through separation or have just big things going on. I encourage you, if they're living on your street or if you don't know who's living on your street, just this way to get to know your neighbourhood. It might be grandchildren or children's school communities. You hear of someone recently diagnosed with an illness that's really impacting their family. Doing something practical for these people is just such an amazing thing to do. Just moving yourself towards and sharing your life with people who are doing it tough, maybe in your workplace or in your kids' sporting communities. Just God will show you, if you can't see it already, just ask him to show you where you can be of support and love to people in your community. So that can happen organically, and that might be something you're already doing, and I just encourage you that is being the church. You might not have a specific leadership title or role, what you think is being the church, but you being the church in your neighbourhoods, in your school communities, wherever it is, that is such a vital part of the church. And I just always want to champion people that you're being the church, not just when you're here on a Sunday, but wherever you are, taking opportunity to love. And then we have mentoring is an amazing opportunity, I think, to intentionally place yourself and commit yourself to someone, whether it's a child, a young person, or a family, to weekly meet with them. And we have opportunity through a program called Coach. And this is an opportunity to partner you with someone who we may see come through our centre, or CPFS might refer them, or a school chaplain might refer them, and they're like, these are a family going through so much and they don't have any support networks. We can match someone with this family or with a young child. I mentor in Coolungup Primary School once a week for an hour. They allocate a child each year that needs support. And I'm also with Kathy and some of her team go into Safety Bay High School and we do a youth PLP program. I love my job. I love every day that I wake up, there's parts of my job I love, but I just love going into the schools. I love having that opportunity to support young people. We have training this Thursday. So I don't know what your calendar looks like or if this is something you'd like to do, but come see us this Thursday. We do regular training for Coach, but if that's something that you would like to do this Thursday, there's opportunity. And then I finally want to just finish with sharing about a little more specifically about the Salvation Army. There are opportunities to volunteer with us or even just organically be part of our community centre. We have a drop-in centre that's open at the moment 3 days a week, 9 till 1. We would love for it to be open more, particularly on days like Thursdays and Saturdays where there's not a lot of community support options for people. But we can't do that without more people. And so we are looking to get more funding, to get more staff, but our volunteer base has dropped dramatically since COVID, and so we're always looking for people. But whether you want to formally do it, or you could just come down and have some of Nicole's amazing cooking on a Wednesday. She does options galore. I always think I struggle to cook for my family of 5, but she'll do options like 3 options for like 150 people or more. You can come. You don't have to be in hardship or financial struggle or sleeping rough to come to our centre. It's called a community centre, and we want people around people. We want good people who have a heart for people to be amongst other people who may be quite lonely or overwhelmed. So you can just come share a meal on a Wednesday. Opportunities are there. I've got a list of all the services and partnerships we have. We have a heart not to do everything ourselves. We love to partner. There's great things happening, and we have all of these things listed. And if we go to the next slide, we've got a colour code. The red ones we provide through Salvation Army. Correct, Darren? partnerships with the Salvation Army. And say again? Because we're a national body, and so we have a lot of support from our state leadership and our national. But the green is other organisations that come and either are located on our site certain times per week, but we need people to be able to do all this. But it's a good list there. We've got Centrelink that comes, we partner with St Pat's, we have Food Bank. These might be things that you know of people who are needing support, that you can say, do you know what the Salvos have to offer? Or you might be someone who is willing to give support. These are just some of the things, not an exhaustive list, but it's growing, of the things that we do through only 3 days a week for 4 hours a day. I've just got a little video, checking with Christine, all good. It's only a short video to show firsthand what our centre looks like and some of the things that we do.
We've been here over 40 years as a Salvation Army and have become really established in this community and a part of it. We're located here and we're about the city and we're about raising up vulnerable people in Rockingham, and I think when vulnerable people are built up, I think the whole community is built up.
By being really genuinely part of the community and having all diversity of the community here, people feel like actually this is what faith and community is supposed to look like. They feel really safe and they feel really valued, and so it's incredible to be a part of that.
Salvation have been my solid rock the whole time. Absolutely. If it wasn't for these guys here, and I praise them all the way, and I suggest for anyone else out there that needs help, you come and see them. Come and see them. They're awesome people, all of them. You won't find a fault in any one of them.
The people here are so nice and they make you feel warm, make you feel welcome.
Rockingham Salvos is a really unique place. We are a central hub in this community. We have so many outside services coming in to use our building to just connect with us.
We've got money care for financial counselling, AOD services. We have Anglicare come once a week and they can reach out to clients that might need housing.
Everything we do here in the op shop is for our beautiful community centre up there and what they do up there in the centre. We're only small, but we have lots of great treasures.
So the partnership started with us utilising Food Bank in Mandurah, and then years down the track they obviously started the Food Bank trucks, and we jumped on board to say we definitely have them here.
Salvation Army are able to offer that case management support. They're able to work together through the finer issues that are going on, and at the same time they're able to get affordable and appropriate healthy food options through the Food Bank trucks.
It's a community centre. It's a place where anyone is welcome, that people can find a friendly face, someone to talk to, someone they can just have listen to them. The needs that people have can't be just met by us. We need to do it as a community.
The Salvos in Rockingham is really unique. We have this centre, which was incredible investment into our community, but then also to have co-located services surrounding people. I just think it's a fantastic way to approach community services. When the community comes together, amazing things can happen.
It's often better to see firsthand visually what we're talking about, so that just gives you an opportunity to see that. So if anything has sparked an interest, or as I said, there are many organisations which Christine will share more about, and some of them are found in this pamphlet, in this flyer, to find out more wherever your passions and your heart may lie, and God may lead you there. But if you're interested in anything I've shared, you're welcome to come and see us. I've heard it said before, it's not my words, but I think it takes a city-wide church to win these city-wide battles, and we're all in this together as family. So thank you for having me.